We recognize that eras are different. The game was played in a different way decades ago, even just a few years ago, than it is right now. But when I think about it, I'm just thinking about my time, what I've seen with my own two eyes, based on records as well as on-field accomplishments. I'm not taking into account off-field transgression, Skip Bayless.
Okay.
Because obviously one of the individuals I will pick, some people will look at some of the stuff that transpired in his life off the field and would say, oh, no. But I'm not going by that, Skip.
I know where you're going.
I'm just going by what I've seen on the field. Okay?
Okay. My
list is very, very simple. I think Joe Montana and Jerry Rice are obvious. A four-time Super Bowl champion in the case of in Montana. In the case of Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver in NFL history. I think that's a given, okay? I don't think anybody would dispute that. People are inclined to put up their Tom Brady. Skip, I got Joe Montana. I don't need another quarterback. I need a defensive player. It's got to be LT, Lawrence Taylor. I mean, this man was terror personified. Ask Joe Theismann and a host of other quarterbacks that have had to deal with him in NFL history. LT, that's all you need to know. I understand LaDainian Tomlinson was a damn good running back, maybe in the Hall of Fame, but let me tell you something right now. There's only one real LT, okay? And his name is Lawrence Taylor. And last but not least, as debatable as it may be in some people's eyes, Skip, I got to go with Emmitt Smith, man. I've got to go with Emmitt Smith. I mean, listen, he's the NFL's all-time leading rusher. That's Skip. The man is the NFL all-time leading rusher, okay? He's the NFL's all-time leading rusher, over 18,000 yards, over 21,500 all-purpose yards, 164 touchdowns, a first-round pick that lived up to it. He wasn't the flashiest. I mean, you look at a Barry Sanders, you could say, well, more talented. You look at a Walter Payton, you understood all of that. The Jim Browns of the world, even though it's sacrilegious to mention it.
There are 8 of them?
No, it's one Jim Brown, of course. I mean, obviously, you don't want to mention him. It's almost sacrilegious to mention him, but you even got to mention the juice. O.J. Simpson.
I agree with that.
Can't ignore what he did on the football field.
I'm with you. I thought about it.
But, Skip, in terms of production, over 18,000 yards, the all-time leading rusher in NFL history, a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and on top of it all, 164 touchdowns. And then you go into the category of all-purpose yards, 21,579, I believe the number is. Skip, that Emmitt Smith might have had a good offensive line. He made it playing with the playmaker and Troy Aikman. It doesn't take away what he did. I'm not saying he was the greatest thing to look at in terms of, moves like Barry Sanders or somebody. But in terms of production, Emmitt Smith and what he did is unparalleled. He has to be on the Mount Rushmore of the NFL, Skip.
No,
he just has to be.
Sorry.
Yeah, he does, Skip.
Okay, let's start with Emmitt Smith. He does not belong on the NFL's Mount Rushmore. I was there for almost all of his Dallas years. He's a great football player, and you're right, he was extremely valuable to a loaded football team that had a very good defense. And Stephen A., here's my problem. This is the disqualifier. For about 4 or 5 years, we could debate that. I believe that offensive line for the Cowboys was the greatest offensive line I have ever seen. Just absolute elephants who just devastated and dominated people with straight-ahead zone blocks. And Emmitt, at about 5'9", just ducked and darted behind them. And before the linebackers could find him, he was 6 or 8 yards upfield. Again, I'm taking nothing away from him, but when we're talking all-time, the top 4 faces on the NFL's Rushmore, Emmitt padded his stats up to all-time greatest at the end of his career, and he wound up in Arizona with a lot of garbage yards, a lot of running out of bounds after 5 or 6 yards and avoiding any punishment late in his career. And I lost a little respect for that. When I look at Jim Brown, Jim Brown is number 1 on my Mount Rushmore, and I'm shocked you did not put Jim Brown on yours. Just for the record, Jim Brown made 9 Pro Bowls and 8 first-team All-Pros. Jim Brown led the league in rushing 8 of his 9 years. He led it in touchdowns 5 of his 9 years, and he won 3 MVPs. I'm going Jim Brown. I'm with you on Joe Montana just because you got 4 Super Bowls and what should have been 4 Super Bowl MVPs. Jerry Rice won one that I did not think he deserved. Then I'm going to go on the defensive side. I'll go ahead and agree with you on Lawrence Taylor. He changed the game. He revolutionized the game. I cannot defend a lot of the things he did off the field. So I'm going to discount or disregard what LT did off the field while he was playing, after he was playing. He changed the game. He's on my Mount Rushmore. And then I'm surprised at you on this, Mr. Steeler fan, that you ignored this guy. My 4th Mount Rushmore face. I didn't ignore him. Mean Joe Green. First of all, what a great nickname.
Right.
But Mean Joe Green, 10 Pro Bowls, 5-time All-Pro, Defensive Rookie of the Year, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year at tackle, which is pretty hard to do, and 4 Super Bowl rings. He was the cornerstone and the anchor and the leader of the Steel Curtain defense. I'm talking about greatness. It's, as you say, greatness personified is Mean Joe Green, Steel Curtain, perfect Rushmore. Well, so I've got 2 offense, quarterback, running back, and 2 defensive tackle and linebacker, and I'm good.